soon. We've had a great week. Really grateful for all the people that work hard to put this on. It's a great experience for our staff, our families, our players, and I'm sure for both teams there's a lot of work that goes into it. Practice areas, and then also creating opportunities and experiences, whether it's great places to eat, being able to have a beach day, and so forth. So got to go to a basketball game last night. Maybe I lost my voice cheering for the Heat. I don't know, but it's been a great trip, and it's two great teams. Tennessee is one of the best teams in the country, and has had an amazing year. So it should be a great game. We're thankful to be here and represent the league and represent Clemson and in a place that's always been special to our fans and to college football. So thank you all for all that y'all have done to make it a great week as well.
Thank you very much, Coach. And now, Coach Heupel.
I just want to say thank you to the Orange Bowl Committee in South Florida. The hospitality for our program has been absolutely fantastic. It's been a great week. Before we got down here, having played in it and coached in it before, I was able to just relate to our players and staff what this week is all about and the opportunities that they were going to have to see South Florida and have a great week of experiences. And you guys have rolled out the orange carpet and shown us a great week. We appreciate everything so much and are certainly looking forward to the football game. It's been a long time since Tennessee's been here. Really proud of what this program's done in the last 23 months since our staff arrived. Really proud of our players, playing a great opponent here tomorrow and looking forward to that. We've seen a lot of VFLs, former players, starting to make their way down here, and I know our fan base is too. It's great to see all those former players show up, and looking forward to going out and competing with our football team tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Coach. Now, we'll open it up for questions for both coaches. We ask that you please raise your hand, and a microphone will be brought to you. Please state your name and affiliation before asking your question. Questions are now open.
Hi, Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press here in Miami. This question's for Dabo. I know you joked about losing your voice last night at the Heat game, but if I'm not mistaken, you and Spo have been friends for a minute here, and I'm just curious what the benefit is from coaches kind of learning tricks of the trade when it's different sports and different philosophies, and just if you could share a little bit of what maybe you've shared with Spo and what you've learned from him.
Yeah, he's a guy that I got to know. We have a mutual friend that connected us several years ago, and then he reached out, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or so, and wanted to come to Clemson, and so that was a really cool thing. He flew in for a day with one of his assistants, and listen, I mean, it doesn't really matter what the sport is, or even if you're in leadership and you're dealing with people, there's so much you can learn, and especially when you're in a competitive environment. And even though he's in the pros, especially basketball, a lot of those guys are young guys, and so we're dealing with young guys, and again, competitive dynamics, leadership, culture, all these type of things. But so that's how we first got to know each other, and then we've just stayed in touch throughout the years. And we actually came down with my sons to a playoff game last May, and that was pretty cool. So I'm 2-0 in what is this, 22, and I let him know that last night. So brought some good mojo, but it's fun, But I think that's what coaches do. Is collaborate. I think our profession is really unique that way, and that like we have our AFCA convention coming up in another week or so, and all these coaches come from all over. I mean, thousands, and we talk and we meet. I mean, we literally played Ohio State one year. It was the craziest thing. It was I think it was the game. I don't think it was this game. I think it was the game out in Arizona. And not long after that game, we met as a staff, like their staff, our staff, and we kind of got together and talked through the game. It's crazy. And so that's one of the cool things about our profession is we compete, but we collaborate and always have. And, you know, it's not the case in most industries, right? Like Coke doesn't sit down with Pepsi at the end of the year and say, well, hey, boys, what do you think? You know, let's see how this goes. But football coaches do that. There's just so many relationships, and that's what makes the game really unique. And so just relationships like that come through collaboration that crosses over the sports and business world, et cetera.
Okay.
Good morning, Mark Stoll with the Miami Times. I have a question for you both, Coach Swinney and Coach Heupel. First, Coach Swinney, what's the impact that Mike Reed has had on your staff this year, being recently elevated to assistant head coach? And for you, Coach Heupel, for Tim Banks, you recently added him. What's his impact been for you this year as a defensive coordinator?
I couldn't hear the back end of that question. Excuse me.
Tim Banks,
Yeah.
what's his impact has been for you this year as defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I'll start it out. Tim's been a phenomenal leader on the defense side of the football, and when we were going through the process of finding our defense coordinator 2 years ago, looking for somebody that had experience, that was a great leader, that was multiple in what he was able to do, was relationship driven and had a great ability to teach, and through all the things that we encountered when we first arrived on campus, his steadiness, his leadership, his ability to gain buy-in from the guys around him. And that's, staff members that were coming in. Not everybody had worked together. There were some common threads where there were some relationships there, previous relationships. But then getting all of our players to buy into what we're doing. And he's done nothing but do a great job of continuing to grow what we're doing on that side of the football. And you can see that in the way that our guys play for him.
Yeah, Mike Reed has, he's just a great leader. He's been with me since the 2013 season, so he's, I guess, going on year 10 or whatever, and has done a phenomenal job. I mean, he's coached a bunch of great players at Clemson. He's been a part of some of the best defenses in college football over the last decade. He's coached first-rounders and everything in between. He's a great recruiter, great communicator. Really knows the game. He's also our special teams coordinator. So just, and he's a great friend. Love his family. He's got a great, beautiful family. His wife, Kim, and Michaela and Milan, his daughters. So just a guy that has really grown and, would be a great head coach as well. So it was easy. As we had we had a lot of staff transition last year for the first time in a while. So it was easy to be able to promote him to the assistant head coach and lean on him in a lot of areas.
Down front.
Adam Sparks, Knox News for Josh. You've got 3 players opting out, all good players. You've got your offensive coordinators gone, and you've recently had a quarterback change. In a regular season, you may have one of those changes in a given week. To have all of them at once, how is the challenge different for you as a coach, and how do you navigate all those changes within one game?
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, that's kind of the landscape of what happens at times inside your program. When you're having success and during the course of bowl season, you can see that across the country. The unique thing is you have a couple extra weeks to prepare and plan for those situations. You're not dealing with it in a 7-day span. We lost some really good players. I think that provides unique opportunity, and that's the tough thing and the great thing about college football is that essentially a quarter of your rosters, graduating every single year. And so with that provides new opportunity to go make plays because you got more snaps on the football field. It provides opportunities in leadership. It's the great thing about college football is that, you're essentially building your roster and your football team every single January. And that's always true, but I think in the landscape of college football, it's certainly true and more evident, more prevalent now with the transfer portal too.
The rear.
Hey, Dabo. This is Anna Adams with Clemson 24/7. We saw Sheridan Jones not practicing yesterday. Just wanted to know if he was going to play in the Orange Bowl and if his career is done at Clemson.
What was the last part?
And if he's done at Clemson.
I'm not sure, Sheridan. He could come back. He's been dealing with a hip flexor, so it's going to be close. You know, he's one of those guys that's played a lot. He's got a lot of experience, but been battling a little bit. So we'll see. But as far as is he done at Clemson, he's declared this as his senior year all year. But as you know, a lot of these guys have. I guess we're going to deal with it for a couple more years, I guess, with the COVID year. So I don't know if it's his last time. A lot of these guys are going to decide that after the game.
For both coaches, Tom D'Angelo from Palm Beach Post, both of you were in a similar situation where one loss at the end of the year, you probably more likely would have been in the playoffs. So in that situation, some teams find it hard to be motivated to play in this game because of the disappointment. How long did it take for you guys to get over that disappointment, and what were you able to do to keep them motivated and make sure that this game was important to them?
Yeah, we had to reset the following week, and I think you guys played the week after as well. The only reason we've gotten to this point, these players didn't come into this and just inherited it. They've worked for it, from the moment that we got there on campus, and that's the competitive nature. It's their connection to one another. Our players were able to reset. Was there disappointment? Absolutely. In that moment, and you could feel it in the building when they came in the following day on Monday. But we're able to reset, and this is an important game to our football team. We talk about finishing, we talk about legacy. This group that is graduating and heading on, this is a way to finish it and leave a strong legacy at Tennessee. At the same time, I think bowl games in this era are also about kicking off the following season, and for all those things, our kids' focus and energy out at practice has been fantastic. I think it's important that you enjoy the bowl experience while you're here in South Florida, but when you're in meetings and you're on a practice field, you got to be dialed in and locked in, and I really like how our guys have handled the week up until this point.
Well, I mean, you got to manage the disappointment. There's certainly disappointment anytime you lose a game. We all go into the season want to win every game. And I think there's two teams maybe that are undefeated right now. So to have a great season, you have to manage success. You got to manage failure along the way. And so, when you look back at the end, like, man, there's only 4 teams right now that get to go to the playoff, as you're alluding to there. But so disappointing in the moment. But for us, man, you go back to work. When it hurts, but you come in on Sunday, you don't have time to linger. We got a championship game the very next week to play a really good North Carolina team. And so we reset, refocused, and, thankfully we had another game to play. So that certainly helps. And then as far as being motivated, both these teams have won 11 games. You don't go 11-2 if you're a team that doesn't have good leadership. And, because it's hard to win. It's really hard to win. And so to win 11 games in today's world in college football is special. It's a great season. And then to be able to come to the Orange Bowl and play, the 6th-ranked team in the country, you turn on the tape, you get motivated real quick because these guys are competitors. Both teams, you got guys that like to play. I mean, that's why they play football. They don't play football to whatever. They like to play the game. And so it's a chance to go play the game. And not only that, you get to do it at a venue like this at Hard Rock Stadium. I mean, are you kidding me? And you're playing one of the best teams in the country. So turn the tape on. You watch these dudes run. Yeah, you'll get motivated real quick.
Hey, this is David Heupel, TigerNet.com. Coach Swinney, the NCAA rule change that allowed those mid-year enrollees to get out there on the field with you. I just wanted to know, what have you seen out of those guys? And I was having fun watching Nick Eason with his 2 guys yesterday, kind of coaching them up. now that it's happened, do you think it's beneficial? And how has it helped them maybe get prepared for what they'll see in the spring?
Yeah, it's been great. It'd be really even better if they'd let them play. That'd even be greater. So it's been fun having those guys, just I think speeds up their acclimatization process and, just kind of getting the feel of guys. And, most of the time they get here in January, they're right into school, and then they're in the off-season program training and mat drills and spring ball. And so to be able to kind of have a visual, even though it's not a normal game week, to just kind of be exposed to that a little bit, to be around some of the guys that aren't going to be here when they get going, I think it's a unique opportunity as well. So I think it's been great. I'm glad they did that. And then to be able to also put our eyes on them as far as having the first opportunity to really coach them, in meetings. And then part of what we have always done in bowl prep is we get a lot of work, on Clemson, fundamentals, technique, kind of back to some basics. We get a lot of work on the opponent, and then we do a lot of JV work. We kind of create a JV season, if you will, and we have a couple scrimmages, and we have a lot of fun with the young guys. So, and a lot of that. So those guys were able to, they couldn't scrimmage because they couldn't get to that point, but to be able to get to work with them in individual drills and technique and coach them is very beneficial for them and us. And I think just, again, it's been a lot of fun. There were 5 of them that got the opportunity to come, and I think they really enjoyed it. And they're all what we thought they were, off the hoof.
Yeah, Joe Exler from The Athletic for Josh. What have you seen from Joe Milton in embracing this opportunity, and how important is Friday's performance in terms of the quarterback competition to come?
Yeah, Friday's important because, this is the last game for this football team this season, and it's the end of that culmination. We're going to have competition at every position next spring in our program. You got to go out and earn it and take it every single day, and that's true at the quarterback position as well. And everybody inside of that room understands and knows that. Joe's been great all season long. I think it's a unique story in today's atmosphere inside of college football that someone is that talented and has had, some success at the quarterback position, ends up, being moved to the number 2 spot, sees that there's value in this staff cares about me, this staff can help develop me, I can perform inside of this offense, and my traits fit this, and I got to stay the course because I need to grow, and that can be mentally, it can be emotionally, it can be fundamentally. I think, in today's world, for a young man to see that and be able to say, hey, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to compete every single day with Hendon or whoever that young man might be, and to handle it the right way is a great story. And he's prepared like he's going to be the starter all off season, all training camp, all season long. He's continued to grow. We're playing a great opponent, great defense. It's going to take all 11 to go out there and perform at a high level tomorrow. But I'm excited to see Joe go compete, man, and excited for this opportunity for him.
Jimmy Himes with the Sports Animal in Knoxville. Josh, a couple things. One, how much of an adjustment is it for you to go back to calling plays?
It's not like for us as a staff, we go through that process every single week. We go through it on game day. The fact that Joey and I have been together for 15 plus years. Glenn and I have been together for I think 7 years. The communication on game day is seamless, and excited for this one.
And have you started the process of interviewing for an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, we'll do all of that, handle all of that on the back end of the bowl season. Just everything that's going on inside of college football. After the regular season finishes, we'll handle all that at the tight end position here on the back end of this bowl game.
Todd Summers, WSPA TV. For both coaches, with the opt-outs and the transfer portal affecting your roster for a game as significant as the Orange Bowl is, do you see that as an issue? And secondly, is there a fix going forward for bowl games in the future? Would this seem to be a trend?
Well, I think there's a lot of fixes, but until they put us on the committee to fix it, it doesn't matter what we think. So, but I just think it is what it is. I mean, I certainly hope that the bowl games, I know it's all about the playoff and the expansion. It's going to be even more so. But I certainly hope the bowl games stick around, and there's certainly some things that the bowl games can do to help, and hopefully will take place. But, you know, at the end of the day, things have evolved in college football, and bowl games are a great experience. I mean, it's an opportunity to go play. I mean, you get 365 days. If everything goes perfect in our world, you get 15 days to play the game that you love, right? So there's 350 days. What the heck are you doing? You're just working and training and grinding. And so it's another day to go play. It's an opportunity to finish your season. It's an opportunity to get an unbelievable experience. You know, having played the game, you know, those are some of my greatest memories and experiences. It's just like this week. I mean, you know, yesterday, those guys out there and having a big time on the beach yesterday afternoon, they'll never forget that. You know, these are young people. We forget that. And so they've had a lot of fun this week. You get to play some unique, I mean, watching the game last night, what a great game. You know, it's TV likes programming, right? People like to watch football. But I think as far as, you know, getting ready for the game, it's a chance to develop your team. It's a chance to finish this season. It's a chance to develop your team for next year. And it's a chance for those seniors. Not all these guys are going to go play pro ball. It's a chance for them to play another game. You know, and a lot of them they're going to be done. And then if guys don't want to play, then don't play. And go do whatever you're going to do. So I certainly hope that it's here to stay for a long time. But, you know, there's lots of things that can, I think, make it better as we move forward.
Scott Eisberg from WCIV in Charleston. Josh, just wanted to get your reaction when you turn on bowl games and you see these tributes to Mike Leach. You saw the one last night, the penalty, and a couple coaches have worn shirts. Just your reaction and what you think each time you see it, and also if you have anything planned tomorrow to kind of honor him.
Yeah, Mike was instrumental in my opportunity to play at a high level, to coach at a high level. He's the guy that gave me my start, and you know, he meant so much to so many people around the country, inside of college football and outside of it. I think, you know, he's really unique in that way that you truly got a chance to see how his mind worked and operated, and you know, he had so many passions outside of the game as well. You know, you know, we lost somebody that made college football extremely interesting and changed the landscape of it. You know, at that time, college football was played in a box around a lot of the country, and you know, his vision of playing out in space is how college football is played today.
Any other questions? Raise your hands, please.
So, Mark Stahl with the Miami Times. This question is to Coach Josh. Is this a full circle moment for you? I know you played in the 2001 Orange Bowl, so what's that experience that you had back then compared to today as a coach?
Yeah, you know, my experience down here, great memories. Got a bunch of teammates that are actually going to be down here. A couple of them came into town last night, and have an opportunity to, you know, hopefully catch up with them today, but see them on the field on game day too, and great memories, you know, from my playing career. When I think back to, you know, my days at Oklahoma and some of the things that we accomplished, your mind obviously comes right here to this stadium and this bowl game. And you know, Dabo was talking about just the bowl game experience in general. This is, you know, these are opportunities and memories that you remember forever. And I've tried to share that with our football team, having played in this game. Just, you know, what this game means. You know, the exposure that you have, the opportunity that you have. And, you know, as you get further away from it, your bowl experience is something that you're going to come back to when you're with your brothers.
Jimmy Himes with the Sports Animal in Knoxville. Dabo, you've had a couple of players here that said that they appreciate you not hitting the transfer portal, that shows commitment and loyalty to those players. Is that why you don't hit the portal much?
We just haven't had to. I think it's been more, I mean, certainly I've always said, you know, we're a developmental program. We always have been. And if you're constantly bringing guys in over the top of guys, that changes your culture. That's just part of it. And it also, you know, you probably didn't evaluate well. But it's a different situation everywhere. It's very different. If I was just coming to Clemson right now, half my roster would be transfer portal. You know, if I was just taking over a team and you got to win like yesterday, right? It's a different world than when I became the head coach. Very different in college football. And because if I was just named head coach at Clemson, probably half the guys would leave, right? And a lot of the fans would have gone in the portal too and left if you could do that. So that's just the reality. I mean, when Josh took over at Tennessee, I mean, I don't even, and thankfully they changed the rules for a guy, like a new guy coming in. I think you probably lost almost 40.
Might have been a year late in changing the rules.
Yeah, a year late, yeah. It was a year late, but it's because of maybe what he did. When you lose like 40 guys, how do you replace that? And then they say, okay, you can only bring in 25 initials, right? So, and then they changed the rules in college football to where guys can leave after spring practice. Well, who are you going to recruit in May? There is no high school kids to go recruit. So, you know, my situation is just very different in that 14 years as the head coach, we've been a very much an evaluation development program. And we've had a lot of guys that have become great players as redshirt sophomores, juniors, seniors. And, you know, so the things have changed. And we just haven't really had to. We haven't really lost starters. You know, the guys that have mostly left our program have been, first of all, graduates, most of them that just wanted a chance to play. And, or you've had some guys that maybe just needed a fresh start that was maybe a backup or whatever. So that's a good thing. That's not bad. It's created a different opportunity. And last spring, for example, what if we would have had 5, 6, 7, 8 guys pack up and leave? Well, you have to go to the poll. We didn't have anybody leave. So, you know, you recruit your class, you have your roster, and you manage it from year to year. So at this point, we just haven't had to. I mean, we certainly could change a philosophy and do that. We've had to, the past 2 years, we really felt like we needed a veteran quarterback. So we got Hunter Johnson. Man, I'm glad we got Hunter Johnson right now. So we went and just added Paul Tyson because we believe in the guy that we have. We just signed another great one in Vizina. And so we needed an older guy that's been around. And we got a guy that's had 4 years of experience that really embraces the role. Because a lot of these guys, you know, they're looking for certain things. That's why they're in the portal. So it's got to be a good fit on both sides. And so we've signed a couple of guys, and then we've had you know 3 or 4 guys that we have tried to recruit over the last year or so. It just hadn't worked out. You know, we weren't the right fit for them for whatever reason. So things change. Again, we haven't had to do that. But what if this spring, again, we might have 5 guys, 7 guys pack up and say, hey, I'm out. You know, so everybody has to deal with that. But again, where we are as a program, we just haven't been as impacted at this point.
Chapel Fowler with the State. Dabo, you mentioned earlier this month the pressure that comes with being a starting quarterback. Just, Kay, what have you seen from him these last few weeks as the guy that makes you so confident that, as you just said, he is the guy?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been great. It's been a blessing that he's had a couple, 2 or 3 weeks here to just kind of settle in and, you know, lead. But he's really not any different. I mean, he's just a kid he's always on. He's always got a ton of energy. He loves to play. He loves to practice. I mean, he's just one of those guys that really loves the game. So he's embraced it, and he's done a great job with it. He's excited about it. He's worked really hard to get to this point and knows he has a huge challenge ahead. But just, a lot more comes with it that he's had to manage, but I think he's done a good job.
Back here, Coach. Vince Farrar, 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville. One question for each of you. Dabo, you have a player from Knoxville, Catholic, and Brian Tucker. Can you talk about his development?
Yeah, he's one of those guys, developmentally, redshirt sophomore, kind of, in that process of growing and maturing into what we think he can be. Big, strong kid, great family. Has played a little bit on some special teams for us. He's starting on our field goal team there, and he's played a little bit at guard. He plays both guards. Like for him to learn to snap this spring. That's something that we'd like to see out of him as well. But, just a guy that's in that process of maturing and hopefully becoming a good player for us down the road.
And Josh, can you talk about the impact in recruiting a game like this, a stage like this, can have for your program?
Yeah, for sure. It's another opportunity for kids across the entire country to see the brand of football that you're playing, the culture that you have, by the way that you compete together. Throughout the course of this season, we've been able to show the proof of what this program is becoming and what's going on inside of our building and continuing to take steps forward to continuing to compete for championships. And when we first arrived, you were talking about it. A year ago, they saw a little bit of proof of it. They get a chance to see a whole lot more of who we are and what we're about and the exciting brand of football that we're going to play. We're going to be extremely aggressive on offense, but we're going to have that same mentality and attitude on the defensive side of the football and play that way on special teams too. So this is a great opportunity for Tennessee's brand, its logo, the university, to be in the forefront of the country, playing in one of the iconic bowl games in college football.
Todd Summers, WSPA TV. Coach Swinney, over the last decade, you've had Deshaun, Trevor, DJ all start as freshmen, either early on in their career or in the middle of their career. How is Cade's readiness as he gets ready for his first start at the end of his freshman season? And can you kind of compare where he is versus where those guys were when their number was called?
Yeah, probably more ready than they were, honestly, because those guys, he's had a little more time in the crock pot. Those guys were, had to be ready a little quicker. So, I think Cade is, he's had time to, I think he's still a work in progress, but he's had time to physically, first of all, get himself in a much better situation than he was when he got here at about 179 pounds. So he's almost 200, right at 200 pounds now. And so he's progressing physically, and so he's much better prepared there. And then, he's had a great example in DJ, and he'd be the first one to tell you DJ's one of the greatest preparers I've ever been around. And so he had a good model, to really see day in and day out. And, since January. So mentally he's been through, as opposed to maybe 2 or 3 games, or, to bam, and here's your moment. He's had a lot of game plans. He's had a lot of corrections. He's had a lot of, weeks of practice and some experience to go with it, some good experience, some bad experience to prepare him. All those things, I think, have made him well prepared for this opportunity.
For both, we talked about the portal, and the portal has taken some, I guess, blame is the word, for the spots taken up for fewer spots for high school recruits, where really it's just pieces moving. But is it not the extra COVID year? Has that had more of an impact for you guys on recruiting and roster setting, especially when it comes to bringing in like the high school players and taking some of those spots because of that extra year players are getting for the next 4 years, I guess?
Not really. I mean, there's a couple guys here or there. I think that's been fine. There's no question the portal affects the high school recruiting, because now coaches have a whole nother pool of recruits. They have freshmen. They have sophomores in college. You got thousands of kids that are in this thing that used to not exist. And so, and then you have the pressure to win right now. And so there's a lot what's going on, and it's really affected the high school recruiting. There's no doubt. A lot of these high school recruits are either not getting signed or being pushed down, or unfortunately sometimes, that portal opens up. Some of these guys that have maybe been committed a long time lose their opportunity. So that's why I think the portal's good. I just think there could be some tweaks to make it better for everyone. And everybody talks about the early signing period, all that. Man, if I'm a high school kid or a high school coach, I'd fight for it to stay where it is or be earlier. Like, honestly, I wish they'd let them sign August 1 of their senior year and let them sign any time they want, and that would cut out a lot of these offers that you can't commit, number one, and then some of these kids would be protected because a lot of we just signed a class, all these guys would have signed in the summer, if they were allowed to. And so now all of a sudden it protects these high school kids a little bit. So, and again, it makes you be serious about who you offer and so forth, as opposed to all of a sudden, the portal opens up and some of these guys get pushed aside. And I get it. I'm not, I would do the same thing in this situation. But the high school kids are absolutely being impacted by the portal. And so much more than the COVID situation.
Reese Van Hatten, WATE TV in Knoxville. Josh Heupel. How much has Coach Halsley's workload changed? How much has been added to his workload with Alex Golish's departure, and what does that entail?
Yeah, as much as anything, a little bit on the scripting side of it, but how we've operated and functioned, from how we design our starters, for each drive, communication. Obviously, Alex's voice won't be there on game day, but the collaboration of all of us, the way we communicate in between plays too. Been in the middle of all of it. Joey has been, Glenn has been, I certainly have been too. So, we'll miss Alex. Alex will do a great job at USF, but the majority of our group and how we've operated, it just really hasn't changed that much.
This will be our final question.
Dabo, Scott Eisberg, WCIV in Charleston. I just want to know that West Virginia Orange Bowl, blip in the radar, bad night, or do you see that as kind of a turning point for your program to take a meteoric rise?
It was a pretty bad night, that's for sure. 30 years since we'd been in the Orange Bowl, but again, that's football. I think we're about to go up 4 or 5 points on the one. Andre Ellington, you get a touchdown. Next thing you know, the ball goes 100 yards the other way. And then I think we throw a pick six the next series. Then I think we fumble and they go score, and it was downhill from there. But that's football. But it was a great experience for us. 30 years since we'd been at the Orange Bowl, and the one thing I told our team after the game was, it was a bad moment, but we had a great year. We won the league that year for the first time in 20 years. I know it's, that people sometimes forget that. So that was a bad night, and that's what everybody wanted to focus on. My job in that moment was to make sure that we didn't let a bad moment make us lose sight of a great year. Again, we won 10 games for the first time in 20 years. Won the league 20 years. Got to the Orange Bowl 30 years since we'd been in the Orange Bowl. And and that was my message to the team is, hey, we're going to get better. We'll learn from this. We'll grow from this. We've got to own it. It's going to be a long time until we play again. Wish we could have played the next week, but just a part of our journey. That's it, just a part of our journey. You just, every year is a new journey. It's a new opportunity. You learn and grow. We were coming off that was my third year. We won the league. The year before that, we won 6 games. So it was just another step for us. And I told it wouldn't be 30 years before we got back to the Orange Bowl. And we were back 2 years later and beat a great Ohio State team right here. So, and we got back in 15, and we're thankful to have another opportunity. So third time now in 10, 11 years. So it was just a bad day. in the midst of a great journey of Clemson football. That's how I look at it, just all part of it.